It's something much bigger. And if that pattern is real, then what you're about to see isn't a collection of random mysteries. And then, it happens again. They leave. They build. People arrive. Near places where people lived thousands of years ago. Many of them sit near ancient sites. And when you map them out, a pattern starts to emerge. Across Canada, there are hundreds of abandoned towns, places that once had people, families, entire systems of life, and then slowly faded away, not because of a single catastrophic event, but through a quiet, gradual disappearance. You can see it right now, and you don't even need to go thousands of years back to start seeing it, and starts becoming the story we believe about history itself. But when there are dozens, the problem stops being the sites, because if it were just one or two sites, you could ignore it. It's that what we do know isn't enough to explain what we're seeing, and the issue isn't that we don't have answers. No one can fully explain them. But they all share the same problem. A few are locked behind fences, some paddle over them. Most Canadians drive past these places, and a shaft on an island off Nova Scotia that has killed 6 people and defeated every attempt to reach its bottom for over 2 centuries. Burial mounds for children, containing technology that wouldn't reappear for millennia. Carvings of boats that, according to conventional history, nobody in North America was supposed to build. Stone alignments that match the sky, but not the sky we see today. A sky that has shifted over thousands of years, older than the Egyptian pyramids, structures older than Stonehenge. And that becomes a problem when you realize what's still standing on this land. Because in reality, this is one of the oldest continuously inhabited landscapes on Earth. And yet, almost no one treats it like that, because the story we've been told always starts later, always feels simpler, always skips over the deeper layers of what actually happened here. Canada is not a new world. It has simply been described that way. What looks like faint markings along the edge of Sprout Lake is easy to miss, almost invisible unless the light hits it just right. But once it does, the lines begin to take shape, forming the outline of something that looks unmistakably like a serpent moving through water. And what makes this more than just a carving is the fact that nearly identical symbols appear across North America, in cultures with no known contact, raising a different kind of question. Not what they carved, but what they were all seeing. Deep in the forests of Quebec, far from any record of settlement or farming, a massive stone circle sits on an exposed hilltop, structured enough to feel intentional, but with no historical context to explain it. It was investigated, observed, discussed, and then left unresolved, with no excavation, no dating, no conclusion, existing in a strange limbo between natural formation and human construction. At Whiteshell, scattered stones begin to organize themselves when seen from above, revealing shapes of turtles, serpents, human figures, and geometric patterns, all placed with deliberate intent. According to indigenous knowledge, these are not random, but instructional, a system of understanding life and balance. Yet whatever language they were written in, we no longer know how to read it. Thousands of carvings stretch across the sandstone cliffs of Milk River, some recognizable, others completely unfamiliar, and within them are symbols that researchers still cannot interpret. According to Blackfoot tradition, some of these images were not created by humans at all. And when science cannot explain everything and belief fills the gap, the line between the two begins to blur. A simple stone wheel on a hill in Saskatchewan reveals something far more complex when studied closely. Its alignments match the position of the sun during solstices and the rising points of specific stars, not today, but as they appeared thousands of years ago, meaning whoever built it was not just watching the sky. They were tracking it across generations. A burial mound in New Brunswick, nearly destroyed by gravel extraction, revealed something unexpected. Artifacts linked to a culture located over 1,500 kilometers away. which suggests either long-distance migration or a trade network far more extensive than we've ever accounted for. One site in Ontario shows evidence of continuous occupation for over 8,000 years, with materials sourced from across the continent, from the Gulf of Mexico to the Atlantic coast, indicating that this was not an isolated settlement, but a node in a vast and ancient network. On Oak Island, a shaft discovered in the late 1700s has resisted excavation for over 200 years. Each attempt to dig deeper triggers flooding, as if the structure itself is designed to protect whatever lies below. After centuries of effort, no one has reached the bottom, and the question is no longer what's down there, but whether it was ever meant to be found. A serpent-shaped mound in Ontario mirrors similar structures found in Ohio and even Scotland, separated by oceans and cultures with no direct connection. When a complex symbol appears in multiple places like this, coincidence becomes harder to accept as an explanation. At Larder Lake, massive stones align precisely with Polaris, the North Star, while the surrounding area remains unusually clear, as if it had been intentionally altered. If natural, the precision is unlikely. If artificial, the method remains unknown. Beneath Lake Huron lies a 9,000-year-old hunting structure designed not just to capture animals, but to guide their movement through carefully placed stone corridors. It demonstrates planning, strategy, and environmental understanding far beyond what we typically attribute to people of that era. A stone wheel in Alberta, over 5,000 years old, functions as a calendar, aligning with lunar cycles and solar patterns. Not just observing time, but organizing it, recording it, preserving it. At Peterborough, more than 900 carvings cover a single slab of stone, including figures and symbols that resemble those found in European traditions. Not proof of contact, but enough similarity to raise serious questions. A burial site in Labrador, dating back 7,500 years, contains the remains of a child surrounded by carefully placed objects, including a highly advanced harpoon. In a harsh environment, that tool could have meant survival, and yet it was buried. And in the Yukon, the Bluefish Caves contain marks on animal bones that may date back 24,000 years. If those marks were made by humans, it would push the timeline of human presence in North America back by over 10,000 years. And if they weren't, then we still don't understand what made them. 15 locations, spanning tens of thousands of years, and taken individually, they can be dismissed as anomalies, strange exceptions, things that don't quite fit but don't demand an answer. But when you place them side by side, a pattern begins to emerge. Not a clear one, not a complete one, but enough to suggest that something about the story we've been told doesn't fully add up. Because here, we see structures aligned to a sky that no longer exists in the same way, evidence of connections stretching across thousands of kilometers, and constructions that have endured time without a complete explanation. And what's most unsettling is not that they exist, but that they're still here, in plain sight, largely unnoticed, and most of them were not discovered through systematic exploration, but by accident, a flight overhead, an unusual signal, a memory that wasn't forgotten, which means what we know may not be the full story, only the part we happened to uncover. Canada is vast, and most of it has never been fully surveyed. Forests, lakes, and landscapes that remain largely untouched, not because there's nothing there, but because we haven't really looked. And if sites like these can exist, hidden in plain sight for so long, then it's very likely they're not all there is. They're just the beginning, the most visible layer. Everything else might still be buried beneath the ground, beneath the water, or deep within places we've never reached. And the real question isn't what these places are, it's how much we've already missed without even realizing it.